Anger is an emotion that, if you cannot control it, can be very destructive to your life, but also to the lives around you. And if you're not careful, it can actually ruin your life. Luckily, if you can control it, it can be very helpful and very useful in a lot of situations in life where you need anger. So, how do you gain control over your anger? And why should you listen to me? When I was younger, I had anger issues and anger attacks. And so I know very well how it feels to have these problems. Now I'm older and now I can control my anger very well through the things that I have done and learned. So let me tell you a quick story about how it almost ruined my life not being able to control anger. I promise I'll be quick. So this one time I wanted to play football in front of my house where there was a football field. So I went there, but there were 3 people. And one of them in particular called me names quite often. Now when I was younger I got bullied because of my hair color and I was, chubby and whatever, but let's not get into that. So I still went because I wanted to have some fun, and he started calling me names. But this time I couldn't control it anymore. I just snapped. And everything in front of my eyes just became black, as they say, and I didn't think about anything else. So I ran home holding in the tears from anger and sadness because I just wanted to have some fun and I couldn't. I went home, ran to my kitchen, looked for the biggest kitchen knife that I could find, tried to hide it behind my back while holding in my tears because I didn't want the people inside to see that I was doing something. And so when I tried to go outside, I opened the front door. My first foot was out of the front door, and all of a sudden, boom, from behind, my mom's ex pulled me back inside. Now I'm very blessed that this has happened, because what if he didn't pull me inside, right? I could have done something very bad just because I lost my temper, I lost my cool. And that's why I think it's very important to control your anger. If you look at, for example, people in prison, I think a lot of them could have avoided going to prison if they could have controlled their anger at that moment. And so controlling anger, I think, is a very important thing, which I've experienced myself. And so that's why I think I can give you my ways of controlling my anger, because I can now control my anger very well. So these are the things that I have done, and hopefully they will help you control your anger as well. What happens when you get angry? You start breathing more heavily, right? You start breathing faster. It's the same with animals. When they are trying to attack something, so let's say a lion attacking an antelope, he is going to breathe in more oxygen so that he can attack the antelope. And the same goes for humans. When I was getting angry, I noticed that I was always breathing faster and harder. Like, I started getting ready to do something. So I noticed, oh, now it's getting serious. I'm really getting angry. And so I want to avoid that, because when I get angry and I snap, for example, it's very hard to get out of it, as we all know. If you have anger attacks, you know it's very hard to get out of it because you don't think about it. And so what I did was I breathed in slowly, like this. I like to hold my breath a little bit, not for too long obviously, and then breathe out slowly. And then in the meantime, I just tried clearing my mind. And the good thing about this is, because breathing is such, like, if you breathe fast and hard, you become angry. But if you breathe slow and controlled, you get calm. And so it's very nice breathing in. Plus, nobody really sees it. So it doesn't, like, make a big difference, right? People are not going to look at you like, oh, why does he do that? That was a thought in my mind a lot. Like, I didn't want to become angry in front of people. So breathing like this really helps you cool down. And that's what you want to do. You want to avoid getting angry. Now, something that I did a lot when I got angry, which has helped me a lot, was being alone. So when I felt like I was getting angry, I just left the place that I was at. And why is this so important? Because when you're on your own, you can think about why you got angry. You can ask yourself questions of, why did this bother me so much? Why did I get so angry when it actually wasn't that big of a deal? Or it was, but why did I get angry? Why was I so frustrated because of this? And when you're alone, nothing around you is bothering you because you're all alone. You can just think by yourself. You can scream, you can cry. And when you're at home, just go to your room, because that's a safe spot, right? And so you can just be yourself. Now, I think when you're outside and when it's possible, just try and leave the place when you feel like you're getting angry. Just try and be alone a little bit and cool down. Think about what has just happened. Think about, why did you just get angry? And that's what I did a lot of the times. Also, when I was in school, when I got really angry, I just ran, from the classroom and just went somewhere else. Why? Because I knew that if I stayed there, I was gonna get more angry and more angry and more angry and eventually just snap. And that's the same at home. And so I learned very quickly that the best thing to do when I felt like I was getting angry was to just leave that place. Because obviously something in that place was making me angry or making me annoyed or anything. It was just not right for me at that moment. And that's okay. Just leave the place. Now, if that's not possible, do the thing that I've just talked about and breathe. If that doesn't help, just leave the place. You just have to leave the place. You have to be on your own for a little bit. You can think by yourself without getting bothered by anybody else. And if it's not possible in school, whatever, talk to your teacher, talk with the parent and ask them to talk with the teachers about this and that you're having issues with it, so that when you feel something is going to go wrong or you feel like you're getting angry, that you can just leave for a little bit. I think that is very important, because asking yourself why you got angry, you can reflect on what just happened and you can cool down while being alone. What I also think is very important is talking with somebody. What I did was I talked with my mother a lot when I felt like I was getting angry, or when I got angry and I went to my room and I calmed down, for example. And so I was very blessed my mom was there and wanted to talk with me, and because I could talk with somebody after, and it can be anybody who you trust. Talking about your anger is very important, because now you can see a different perspective. You can see that being angry, becoming angry and losing control isn't fun for you, but it's also not fun for the people around you. And you're not thinking about this when you're angry. And so when you talk about it, you can see that it wasn't that big of a deal. And yes, they don't like you getting angry as well. And so by talking about your anger, now you can express your feelings about this happened and I didn't like this and this is why I got so angry. And now you know why it has happened. Now you can work on fixing this. Now you can work on trying to not get angry about these small things. Now if it is a big thing, you can talk about it again, and it will just be a problem that you can all work on together. Try and find somebody that you can talk with, because I think talking about your anger is very important, and it was very important to me talking about my anger with my mom, because I love my mom and she just showed me that it wasn't necessary to become this angry for this reason or for that reason. And so I think talking about your anger is a very important and very big step to controlling your anger as well, because now you can understand why you got angry. Now you can see the things that you became angry about weren't that big of a deal from somebody else's perspective. And so I think talking about it is very important. So find somebody that you can trust and talk to them about your anger. Now I think this one a lot of parents aren't gonna agree with or aren't gonna like, but I do think it's a pretty important one. At least it was very important for me, and that is doing fighting sports. Now I think everybody, to be honest, in the world should have done fighting sports at least once in their lives, just to know how it is. And why is it important for people with anger issues? For me, it helped me to control or take control of my anger a lot, because when you fight, and I'm talking about fighting sports like real, like contact sports, like boxing, kickboxing, MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I'm not really talking about capoeira, for example, that really just moves a lot and all those things, which is useful. But I think for this in particular, I think getting hit and hitting and doing these things, really touching and stuff like that is very important. Why? Because when you lose your temper or when you get angry in this training or in the sparring that you're doing, you're gonna make a lot more mistakes, and so you're gonna get punished for it. Now, punished, it sounds very hard, but you just get tapped when boxing. You get hit by boxing because you got angry, you make mistakes, and obviously you don't want to get hit. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna try and cool down, and you're gonna try and not become angry. Now, if you have a good trainer, he's gonna teach you how to hit, how to do this, and a lot of the times that already helps a lot with controlling your anger. Now also, what my trainer told me when I was younger, because I did kickboxing back then, unfortunately due to an incident or an accident I couldn't anymore, but he told me, now you do this, but what this means is you cannot fight outside. Why? Because now you know how to fight, and because most people don't know how a fight, you can really hurt people. And if your trainer doesn't tell you this, I'll tell you this. When you know how to fight, you're not gonna fight outside. Only to protect yourself, but don't try and take fights just because somebody looks weird at you, because you can really hurt them, and that's not what we're here for, right? We're here for controlling your anger and becoming more relaxed and just a better person in general. So fighting with somebody for no reason never should happen, especially if you can fight, because you can really hurt somebody. Now, there's a lot of benefits to fighting sports. That's why I said that I don't think only people with anger issues should do them. I think everybody should do them once, because now you can control your anger more better. You can protect yourself and the people around you. You get more physical conditioning or whatever. You get your mind, it becomes stronger. There's just so many benefits to it. So I think everybody should do this. So if there's any parents watching this, you can definitely DM or whatever, or send me a comment if you think that it's dangerous or whatever, because I will try and convince you. I really do, because I think it's important that your kids or somebody else or just anybody who has anger issues does some sort of fighting sports. And yeah, it's really not as bad as you think. I promise. You just have to find the right one. Now that I was talking about the parents, something that I also think could be very useful is some tough love from the parents. Now, a lot of times kids with anger issues, their parents aren't really that tough on them, and sometimes I think that's needed. Now, I'm not saying just smack your kid on the face when he does something wrong, right? Something that my mom, for example, used to do sometimes. When I think about it, when I cursed a lot, my mom made me brush my teeth with soap. Now, obviously, soap doesn't taste as good as toothpaste, so that wasn't good, and so I started cursing a little less, at least when my mom was there, And yeah, my dad, for example, he used to hit me sometimes with this wooden spoon on my ass. Luckily, he didn't hit my face or anything, he just hit my ass with a spoon or with his bare hands. Now, my dad has these thick fingers, right? He works with his hands the whole day, so he has hard hands. Now, that hurts. Now, I'm very happy that this happened, because, obviously I don't want to get slapped with a wooden spoon or with like a metal hand. So I did less, And what this does is it sets like this boundary of like, you have to stop that, because if you don't and you go too far, there's going to be consequences. And this is in real life as well. And when you learn this from young age, from your parents already, the ones that you look up to, the ones that you love, which is very important, because that is even a more of like that's really wrong, right? Because you love them, you don't want to see them angry. And so I think tough love is also very important. So for the parents who are looking at this and watching, right, fighting sports, but I think sometimes you can be a little harsher on your kids if they go too far. Don't just say stand in the corner and count to 10. By the way, counting to 10, I never liked that. Actually, I became more angry when I had to count to 10. If somebody said count to 10, I was like, I was like, not gonna happen. But yeah, a little bit of tough love, that can really be helpful. Sometimes you just have to be a little more, strong with your children, let's say. Because if you're not, your children are gonna grow up to be adult babies. So yeah, tough love, I think that's very important. Just smack their ass or whatever, and just tell them never to do it again. And if they do, you're gonna slap their ass twice. Now, obviously, don't do it too much. Some parents go a little too far, and I don't think that's a good thing. Now, I do think it's more of a father's job to do that. Moms and stuff can do that as well, but like, you know what I mean. So yeah, some tough love, I think that could be very important. I'm happy that my dad and my mom did certain things, even though back then I don't. But looking back, I'm happy and I appreciate it, because I know that there are consequences to doing things. Same as in the real life, When I go outside and I lose my temper at somebody, there are consequences. People who are in prison, right? Why are they in prison? I think a lot of the times they could have avoided going to prison if they could have lost or controlled their anger. Now they couldn't control it, so what happened was the consequence of them not controlling their anger is going to prison. Now I bet you that they didn't want to go to prison, but they did, because there's consequences to the things that you do. Some are more scary or more dangerous and harder than you think or like. For example, if you lose your anger at somebody who is also not that, not right in the head, and he has a knife or he has something, it could cost you your life. That's also why I'm saying losing control of your anger can actually ruin your life, because it really can. Now, these are the things that I used to controlling your anger. Because if you cannot control your anger, as I've said 1,000 times, it can really ruin your life. Now, by doing these things, you can take control of your anger easily. At least that's for me, it was. Now, I said easily, but it's not easy, it's pretty hard. But you just have to get through it because it's important. And so, hopefully this has helped you, understand a little more of what things to do to take control of your anger and what consequences it can have if you cannot control your anger. If you got any questions and you want to have some help or your questions answered, just let me know. You can send me a DM on Instagram as well if you don't want it to be in the comments. Otherwise, leave me a comment if you got any questions. I'm happy to help. And yeah, if you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And yeah, I hope you have a very nice day. Take control of your anger because it's important. And I'll see you guys in the next one.